What it is, everybody? Welcome to the very first ever episode of Back One Garage. Coming from my garage, it is pretty insane in here. Well, let's get down to it. This is, I'll go and walk over here, my 1983 Porsche 944. And you will note that this is in very desperate condition. This poor thing has seen a hell of a life. Before me, it was derelict for quite a few years. I did acquire it very cheaply, and daily drove it for many years. It was a very wonderful, reliable car for me, until the day I decided to mod it. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. What happened? Well, I'm not going to go into it here too deeply. I will give you a brief overview. This vehicle was purchased in August of 2001, and it really, at the time, was my dream car. I know it's most people will be like, that dream car? Well, I was very young at the time. I never thought I'd be able to own a Porsche, and to find one at such an incredible value, I instantly had to own it. And I actually fell in love with it. I know it's not fast. It wasn't even fast at the time. It's not terribly luxurious, but I've always loved the body lines of a nice, clean hatchback, as you can kind of see from the other project car we're going to deal with out there, but we'll get to that shortly. Love hatchbacks. It's a Porsche. It became necessary. Unfortunately, shortly after I decided to start modifying it, I discovered I was not modifying it properly. Certain things were missed, and because of that, well, I had to do a lot of work to it. I had to do a lot of work to support the work I had done on it. I'm not going to get into that. It doesn't really matter anymore. That was 20 years ago. A lot has been learned since then. I have quite a few other successful projects since then, so now we know what we did wrong. Now, the real downside here is that, unfortunately, not only did that happen, I'll call this the unluckiest Porsche in the history of Porsches, because not only did I was a bit of an idiot. I was also in an accident. Not at fault. It wasn't because I was being an imbecile. Literally just somebody came out of a parking lot and smacked into the car. You could see some of the damage here. That's not generally very good. The car was in an accident. Really not that big of a deal. What happened after that was really tragic. It was literally in a tornado. Literally a tornado touched down within feet of where my car was sitting at the time. And I mean, it did a good number to it. Like, you wouldn't know it. Like, it was a very weak tornado. It wasn't like, in a colossal, city demolishing tornado. But it was devastating enough that it just did a bad number on this poor car. And because of that, I had to put it in various shops. Some people didn't want to touch it because of the mods. It jumped from shop to shop to shop to shop for quite a bit of time. Finally resting at one shop that I thought was doing a fantastic job. And then I lost contact with them, and long story short, I found out that the owner of that shop sold it to another owner, sold it to another owner, sold it to another, blah, 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 blah. Down the line, somebody actually wound up stealing this car, and, about a dozen other cars at that shop. Note, we do not have a transmission. The engine is absolutely torn asunder. Worst atrocity of all, this car, with about a half dozen other vehicles, was discarded in a ravine that frequently floods. So there's a lot of flood damage. We're literally going to have to do a full restoration on this car. So while my MR2 back there isn't in the greatest condition, this is going to need so much more work and so much more love in the project. And what I have planned for this, so I would easily argue anyone that knows anything about Porsches would tell you to scrap this motor, scrap the whole car, in fact, and get a turbo motor. But I'm going to be honest, this was my car, this was my love, this was my passion. I literally parted out another car to afford this thing, and after losing it for 5 years and recovering it a few years ago, I'm in love with it. I'm not getting rid of it, and we're going to rebuild it on this channel, and we're going to restore it, but it is going to take, well, it's going to take some time. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pull the torque tube out of this car, we're going to pull the motor, and with all that done, then we're going to put the suspension back in the car, and we're literally just going to roll it out, and it's going to sit while we finish a few other projects. Namely, project number 2. I'll call this my B project. The Toyota MR2 behind me. I know it's a messy garage, sorry guys. The Toyota MR2 behind me I have huge plans for. We'll cover that in another video. And a car I'm sure nobody's going to care about, but I love it so much. My 2001 Hyundai Tiburon. I know they're slow. I know they're not bad. They get a really bad reputation, but they're not that bad. So now that we got some basics out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to drop the rear suspension. Then we're going to have to drop the entire front subframe. Because, frankly, I've been dealing with this for quite a few days now, and the torque tube is just simply stuck. So we got to literally pull the whole motor, it seems. Or, oh, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Maybe a miracle. But I doubt it. You can probably tell it is a new day. A lot of rusty bolts. It's just, I mean, the back end is horrible condition, which we're probably going to take the entire back end out anyway, delete the torsion bars and go full coilovers. Neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and try to get that rear end out. And it is liberated. Sorry, the hoses are a little bit of a mess. I didn't clean them up, but we no longer have a rear end. We are sans suspension. Why are we sans suspension? Well, we want to get the torque tube out because we need to rebuild the torque tube. The torque tube is just toast. The bell housing is garbage. The clutch is trashed. And I want to pull the motor before we put this thing under wraps, because I imagine this thing's going to be under wraps for at least a year. I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I've got to hit the point where I'm ready to tackle this project. I know what I want to do cosmetically and mechanically, and I know I can't afford it. So hit that like button, hit subscribe. We'll work on this here really soon. I say soon, but, you know, I'll work on it periodically. We're going to build the motor up. Let's go look at the motor real quick. So what we have here is a very typical M44 motor. That's actually what they call them. I'm not making that up. And it is single overhead cam. I would like to go dual overhead cam. There are some mods we can do, or can buy a dual overhead cam motor. It's going to depend upon what this block looks like when I pull it out, because I can already look at this and assure you it is not my original engine. My original engine did not have even the intake manifold. We had individual throttle bodies on here. A lot of this was deleted. In fact, I had a very custom fuel system on it. So the shop threw probably a junk motor in here. So we've got to investigate that and see where we wind up. That'll be a lot of fun. But neither here nor there. My goal... Let's see. I honestly don't know. I don't know what my power goals are. I would like to go dual overhead cam, like I said. I would like, and I'm going to turbo it. I mean, it is going to go turbo. No way. We're not going turbo on this car now. We're going to cut a lot of weight off of this car just by simple process of elimination. And obviously, we're going to upgrade the suspension all over again. You know, I went with adjustable shocks and whatnot, but this time we're actually going to go with a full coilover system. And the best part is these things have appreciated crazily. I bought this thing for like $2,500. And for a while there, you could get them for that price all day and all night. But now they're like almost double that. So, which, I mean, isn't a lot of money. But I've seen cars in really good condition commanding like, you know, double digits now. So it's like, I would love to take something like this, which is, by all accounts, a lost cause, and turn it into something that's going to make people's jaws just hit the floor. So, and no, I mean, this right here really, that's honestly mostly cosmetic. I mean, we're going to be able to fix that really easily. I will have to have a body shop do some adjustments under here because, unlike later cars, this is welded on. But, you know, it's not an insurmountable issue. We are definitely going to be able to take care of it, and we can do some major cosmetic enhancements. Make this thing look a little more modern, widen it out a little more. Yeah, I mean, it's already wide. I mean, for what it is, but we can widen it even more and go crazy. So let's get the start dropping the engine. See if we can get the engine out.